phenomenal. We're almost at that second third now. Almost there. The first half, the first third is still same flavors. I'm tasting. The draw is still really nice. This is actually packed really nicely, right? A little bit soft. Yeah, humidified real well. You always want to keep your cigars humidified at between 68 and 72 humidity percent. Yeah, percent humidity. Because if it's too dry, they will just burn so quick. Think of it's like a log, right? You're trying to start a fire. Do you want a log that's really dry, or do you want a log that's really wet? Right? Obviously, you don't want a really wet one because if it's a wet log, it won't burn. Same with a cigar. If it's too wet, let's say you kept it outside for you live in Florida, it's like 100% humidity the whole time, and you try to light up your stick, it's probably not going to light, or if it is, it'll just go out a lot on you. So, and just opposite, if it's too dry, right, because you're not keeping it humidified, you're keeping it inside your house where humidity is probably like 50, 60% with AC, it'll just burn on you and it will not taste good. So there's a fine balance. There's definitely an art. Whoever, these are guys who've been doing it for ages, discovered that perfect humidity percentage, and I appreciate it. People often ask me, I've been smoking first. Give a little background about me, right? I've been smoking for about, we'll call it 15 years. So I'm 35 now. I've been smoking since I was 18, but really, 2021, I started kind of joining cigar lounges and, shops and stuff like that, go more frequently, asking questions, and trying to smoke where I can. I won't say habitually, but definitely smoking weekly basis, twice a week. Just kind of getting same thing now, right? I try to smoke twice a week. I used to I used to smoke after a really tough day at work, right? Friday comes around, I smoke, don't have my phone on me, don't have anything on me. I just reflect back. What happened during a week? It's just peaceful. But yeah, people always ask me like, Alex, why do you drink mixed drinks? Right? Wouldn't with a cigar with just a nice whiskey just go perfect? You know what? I don't disagree. I'm just not a big neat or straight whiskey or liquor person. I will do it. I can sip it, ice in there and stuff like that, but it burns a little too much for me. So yeah. Oh, look at this ash too. Let me just bring up the ash a little bit. Look at that. That's nice. That's a good ash so far. Probably this is a 48, 50 gauge cigar. I mean, exactly what you want. Um, yeah, I often try to. Well, I will try more often to pair cigars with drinks. Depends who I'm with. But if I've never smoked a cigar, I'll have no clue what to pair it with. Sometimes, it's a sorry, a loud car, outside. But sometimes pairing a really nice whiskey, something super, super smooth, just a really smooth cigar, though. The idea of it is, it want you just want to smoke more, right? It complements. It's kind of like they say red wine and a steak, right? The idea is you take a bite of the steak, you drink a little bit of that wine, and it almost resets the palate. So same thing with whiskey. Imagine drinking a nice sip of whiskey. taking a puff, and then, wow, taking another sip of whiskey, your palate's reset. You're getting the flavors again. You're getting, you know, not only what the cigar should taste like, but what the whiskey should taste like too. I think, they both work in conjunction. As you saw, I just broke off my ash. I didn't want it falling on me, uh, which I often don't mind at all. I I'm a big believer of not knocking the ash off, because then you get this little cherry. And if you can see, I can tell, but that cherry is what gets hot, right? It's like fire. If you introduce air to it, right, it's gonna get hotter. As I said earlier, the hotter the cigar is, the acidier, or acid-like, acidier. Man, that's probably not a word, but you're gonna taste more of that acid flavor, and you don't want to taste that. You want to taste what the cigar is about. So we're definitely in our second third now. I tell you what, it's mellowed out a lot. I'm not getting as much of that peppery flavor, right? Let me see. It's almost nutty. Maybe not a hazelnut, but definitely a little nuttier now. Okay. Ooh, towards the very back. It's so funny. Just about, I thought I was done. It did taste a little bit, a little spice, just a little bit of pepper. And I love that. You know, uh, it makes the cigar not boring. Right? You think you're done with the flavor, and then it hits you with something else. Complexities, love that. This is good. This is a good smoke. I would get it again. Absolutely. Mm. Oh, yeah. Hopefully, I get to build this channel a little bit, and I would actually love to see what kind of people would be interested of coming on and smoking a cigar and just talking, right? First light cigar talk, um, about anything, about what they do, about cigars, right? Where they want to visit, where our careers have been, some of the decisions they've made. Just talk about anything. Uh, I like to make it somewhat informative. I do believe that some of the best podcasts I've ever listened to and heard, right, they're a little bit informative. So you hear people give you life lessons, and I feel like the cigar community definitely has a lot of life lessons. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I could think of a metaphor with a cigar if I want to, right? Like, hey, it's like life. Smoking a cigar is like life. It's kind of, you let it smoke nice and slow and even. There'll be times where it's a hot point of your life, and you're like, okay, I need to cool down a little bit, because it just, when I say a hot point, I mean the cigar is hot, and it's like not a good point in your life, right? Not the opposite, like, oh, it's a hot point, like, yeah, this is it. This is, everything's going your way, right? And sometimes it's a little more mellow, right, in your life, as you're just coasting. And I think that's where we all kind of want to be at. We want to figure out what we're doing. We just want to coast. You know, I don't know. I just spit that off. My analogy for cigars. Coasting. Yeah. And right now, I'm coasting. No, but if you're not coasting, what a good way to just sit down, relax, smoke a cigar, hang out, enjoy, think, reflect. You can do that. Uh, for a not outrageous price, right? I mean, a cigar is what, $10 a stick. Obviously, there's some really expensive ones, some really cheap ones. I've smoked cigars as cheap as what, $2 a stick, and I smoked cigars as expensive as $70, 70, 80. I don't know. I got an Opus, so oh, my puppy's right next to me. She just wants to be in the video. Oh, good girl. She's the best. Uh, Speaking of smoking expensive cigar, right? Expensive stick. People call cigars sticks sometimes. So I was in Oregon, right? I was at that cigar lounge, and so second day now. The guy recommended me, hey, try some fish and chips. I went over to one of the fish markets there, got some fish and chips, phenomenal. The French fries, great, seasoned, loved them. Um, the fish itself breaded nicely, had a good crispness on the outside, but the fish still tastes fresh, as it should. It's a fish market. So I was hanging out, right? There was some regulars there, and some other regular, we were talking, just talking shop. So some new guy comes in. He's not new. He's a regular there, but he just comes up and he's really excited. He's like, "Hey guys, I just made a sale." Blah blah blah. I generally don't ask what people do. I'm like, everybody's like, "Oh, that's cool." Blah blah blah. There's talking life. Next thing you know, he goes in. You know, buys some cigars, comes out, then he's showing us his humidor. He's like, "Yeah, man, check his humidor out." Right. So it's kind of like mine. He's like, "Yeah." You know, it's engraved with his name on there. Has some, Bovita packets there, some couple cigars in there. He said, "You check this out. It's so cool." The outside though was a different kind of leather, right? I think this is like pleather, maybe it is leather. I can't tell the difference. So he, funny enough, right? He's like, "Yeah, this is not alligator skin, something really unique." Like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." Blah blah. 2 minutes go by, we talk a little bit more. All of a sudden, he pulls over. He's like, "Dude, got this awesome sale." Blah blah. He gave everybody an Opus X. Opus X. He's like, "Here, just take him." And Opus X is, I don't know how much it was in Oregon, but it's about a $50 stick. That's the going rate for them. I'm like, "Dude, I cannot accept this. $50. We've never met. This is literally my first time." He's like, "Nah, dude, take it." He gave me one. He gave the guy I was sitting next to. He gave him one, the regular, and then he gave like two more people. So he probably bought, a box of them, whatever. Which, so $50 a stick. I don't know if the box is 10 or 20 sticks, but that's at least a $500 box. I'm like, dude, you must be doing pretty well if you're just buying these. I didn't ask him that. That's what I was thinking. Uh, so then he goes inside again and he brings out some whiskey. Some, what was it? What was it? Wild turkey, extra rare. Right. I'm like, oh, God. Shout out to Tim again, right? Tim kind of turned me on onto Wild Turkey 101. He drinks a lot of that. He loves it, right? He said he's had some really expensive whiskeys, but he just likes Wild Turkey. It's kind of comforting to him. It's something he enjoys. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. So drinking, smoking, I took a little bit of the whiskey because he would not let me give him the cigar back. So I decided to smoke it then and there. Uh, Only because we were in a hotel and we were leaving the next day anyway. So I'm like, you might as well smoke in a cigar shop. Don't know how true it is, but somebody once told me if somebody gives you a cigar, you don't want to smoke that cigar at that sitting. Never heard that before, but that's what they told me. I'm like, dude, this is my only chance to smoke it. I mean, I guess I could bring it back to San Diego with me, but I want to enjoy it with you guys here. So he goes back inside. The guy next to me says, "Man, what he doesn't know is I just bought a box of these myself." I'm like, "Who am I hanging around with? These people are buying these $500,000 boxes of cigars." I'm like, once again, cigar shops, cigars, great equalizer, right? You have no clue who you're sitting next to, right? The guy next to me, kind of like me, was just in some jeans and like a shirt. I was in, it was kind of cold to me. So I was in, same thing, jeans, yeah, jeans and a shirt and a jacket, yeah, because it was a little cold. But nobody, well, they had no clue what I did, right? I didn't know what they did. I'm sure they knew what they all did because the cigar owner of the shop was talking about, like, man, dude, we have a lot of people come in here that are, you know, lawyers or physicians that are, military or school teachers. And like, dude, such an array of people. It was really, really awesome. So yeah, I got to smoke another Opus X for free. Phenomenal. Great cigar, by the way. I'd love to review it one day here, like actually take the time and talk about it. Speaking of review, let's go back to this. Let's see. Second, third, again. Yeah, definitely much more mild. Nice. I still think it's, I don't want to say hazelnut, but some kind of nuttier flavor towards the back. So pretty solid, you know. Okay, now's about that time I'm gonna take the band off. Oh, cool. It has a little QR code at the back. I wonder if it tells you, like, scan it, it'll give you like the flavor profiles. Actually, something interesting to do, maybe, compare my notes um, with the maker's notes and see if I'm close at all. Oh no, that's my puppy. She's barking. I think she wants to go inside the house. Yeah, great smoke. Mm. Also, I thought about it. This was a smoking jacket, right? I had a blazer. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I need a smoking jacket. Uh, I want to know how many people actually have smoking jackets. Let me know. Is this a big thing? Are smoking jackets really a thing of cigars? Do people use smoking jackets at home? Do people use smoking jackets when they go out to lounges? Better yet, in lounges, have you ever seen a coat rack where people put their coats or their smoking jacket or jacket there just so they can smoke in it and leave it there? I have no clue what the community does, but I've heard of it before, and I'm like, no, that's a great idea. Some of these questions I'm asking, like, man, you think I know this, right? I've been smoking for about 15 years, I've been member to a multiple, probably 3 to 5 lounges. Definitely been a member of three, but been going to them all over the United States. Like I said, anytime I go to a new city that I'm actually at more than a day, I try to check one out. And sometimes I see people, roll up in these fancy, I mean, fancy jackets. I'm like, dang, I'm like, dude, you guys look classy. And that's what's a vibe, It's a vibe, like classy vibe. Yeah, man, the smoke reduction in this cigar is phenomenal. Once again, this Coro, mm, definitely a medium body though. I don't know if I would give this to a beginner. Hmm, maybe I would though. I definitely wouldn't give them like a full-bodied cigar. So the way I like to think of cigars are well, everybody knows there's like a full body, a medium body, and a light body. Otherwise, those are Connecticut's. Now you can, there's like a double Connecticut, double Maduro. Um, there's like a medium full body kind of cigars. This is definitely just like to me a medium. I love mediums. Do I think they're the best starter cigars? No. But what is the best starter cigar? I don't know. That's a question for you guys, really. I think Connecticut's are a good start. I also think, ironically enough, something that's um, infused, flavored infused. So the acids, right? You taste that it's like sugar, but very sweet. The wrapper's infused. Some of the other infused cigars, Javas, like the chocolate ones. I think Nub have like a macchiato or like an espresso or something like that. So, and some of those are also great morning cigars, right? Imagine, and I'll have to do it. Uh, Having a coffee and like a espresso or like a maybe a chocolate cigar in the morning. Right? Dude, that's gonna be a great day. When you can relax, sip on your coffee, complement that coffee with your cigar, and yeah, reset that palate a little bit so you can enjoy the cigar flavor. It's beautiful. Yeah, I love this TV. It's an outside TV, obviously, but I love just having a little background on it, right? No noise sometimes, but sometimes just looking at a fire, just looking at something, just I don't know, it's calming, right? And once again, I smoke cigars because I want that calming presence, really reflection, just talking to people. Let me know what you guys do. Do you guys have something in the background? Do you have music? Do you have jazz? Do you have I don't know what else do people country? Do you have heavy metal, rap? You can do anything. Once again, the beauty of cigars.